Welcome to Freedom Press, Patriots. Today, we're diving deep into a triple threat shaking America's core. How NAFTA gutted our jobs, why Wall Street's panicking over Trump's tariffs, and what Stephen Miller says we must do to save the American dream. Plus, we've got a golden nugget from Warren Buffett on keeping your cool in the chaos. This is a deep dive into America's economic fight. Strap in, hit that subscribe button, and let's get started. Let's rewind to 1993. Bill Clinton signs NAFTA, promising jobs and prosperity. Instead, it unleashed a global heist on American workers. The Economic Policy Institute says we lost 700,000 jobs by 2010. Mexico, China, Canada, Vietnam, they all took a piece. Let's break down the thieves who bled us dry. Mexico struck first. Our trade deficit with them exploded to $181 billion by 2016. Auto giants like GM and Ford fled to Juarez, where wages were $2 an hour compared to $17 here. The result? 350,000 U.S. auto jobs vanished. Flint, Michigan felt that sting hard. NAFTA was a gut punch to American workers. Canada wasn't innocent either. NAFTA slashed their lumber tariffs, flooding us with cheap wood. The U.S. Forest Service says we lost 60,000 timber jobs as a result. Places like Oregon and Maine took the hit. Free trade, more like a free-for-all at America's expense. Then came China, especially after joining the WTO in 2001. Our trade deficit with them ballooned to $419 billion by 2018. Textiles and electronics got obliterated. North Carolina alone lost 200,000 textile jobs to China's $1 an hour wages. We stopped making. They started raking. Youngstown, Ohio, lost steel to China and Canada, a slow bleed that crushed the heartland. It didn't stop there. Vietnam's garment exports to the U.S. surged 1,200% since 2000, thanks to NAFTA-style trade deals. Nike ditched American workers for Hanoi's cheap labor. Taiwan grabbed tech. Our share of global chip production dropped from 37% in 1990 to 12% thanks to TSMC. Even Africa got in on the action. Lesotho now ships $400 million in clothing yearly under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, undercutting us. From furniture to toys, Asia piled on, and U.S. manufacturing jobs plummeted from 17 million in 1993 to 12 million by 2020. Here's the fallout: income inequality and a crushed middle class. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows blue-collar wages dropped 1.5% in real terms since 1993. Meanwhile, CEOs offshoring to China saw their pay skyrocket 340%. Rural America paid the price. Poverty spiked 20% in small towns post-NAFTA. This wasn't just a job loss. It was a betrayal of the American dream. Fast forward to April 2025. Trump's back and he's hitting Mexico, China, Vietnam, all of them, with tariffs to force jobs home. Stephen Miller, a fierce conservative voice, is leading the charge. On Fox, he said, "Why should America protect the world, send aid, defend it, and get ripped off by every country?" Miller calls this a great rejuvenation, a shot at healing decades of outsourcing, starting with NAFTA's mess. And it's working. Steel production is up 8% since Trump's first tariffs on China, adding 10,000 jobs. The trade deficit with Vietnam is down 8%. Trump's playing the long game, short-term pain for long-term gain. He leans on history. America thrived on tariffs for a century, funding roads, schools, and the military. Reagan's era had 17 million manufacturing jobs. NAFTA flipped that. Tariffs? They're OG American. But not everyone's on board. Wall Street's in a panic. Stocks dropped 5% last week over Trump's tariffs. Investors aren't worried about customers vanishing. We're still buying. It's about profits. Tariffs mean companies like Apple will have to ditch Taiwan and reinvest here, which is costly. Corporations are scrambling. Apple's Taiwan chips, Nike's Vietnam shoes, GM and Ford's Mexico plants. They'll have to reinvest here or eat the cost. Wall Street hates it, but Miller's betting on America. Enter Warren Buffett, who once said, "You need emotional discipline to trade stocks successfully. It's not just IQ, it's temperament." Investors panicking now? They're failing Buffett's test. Markets swing on emotion, greed, fear. Right now, fear's driving the sell-off. But if you've got emotional smarts, you see tariffs as a chance. Buy low when others freak. That's how Buffett built billions, and it's a lesson for Wall Street today. Back to Trump's vision. He's not just stopping at steel. He's hitting every country with tariffs to force American companies back with higher costs there and incentives here. Textiles, too. Vietnam's rise killed North Carolina jobs, but Trump's tariffs could nudge Nike home. And tech? Taiwan's chip dominance stings, but Miller says tariffs will push Apple to build here, creating high-tech, high-paying jobs. It's expensive, but imagine the impact. Trump's ace is national security. If China cuts steel or Taiwan halts chips in a war, we're sunk. The Heritage Foundation warns we're too reliant on them. Here in America's heartland, this fight matters. Miller calls it the great healing after half a century of offshoring. Ex-posts echo that sentiment. Conservatives love it. Newsmax calls it Trump's masterstroke. And OANN says it's America first on steroids. But the left's mad. You know, the same left who a few years ago were all about Occupy Wall Street and crash the system. CNN warns of trade wars and higher prices, like your TV costing $20 more. Let them try. Prices might rise. Lumber from Canada, clothes from Vietnam, but jobs versus cheap stuff. That's the trade-off. Here's the upside. Trump's tariffs have already raked in over $70 billion as of 2020. That's cash for infrastructure, tax cuts, core conservative goals. Miller calls it a strategic tax to fund America First policies. The U.S. Trade Representative says trade deficits are shrinking. It's not instant, but it's real. A shot at the American dream. So where do we stand? NAFTA gutted us. Mexico, China, Vietnam, all of them. Trump's tariffs, backed by Stephen Miller, are fighting back. Steel's humming, deficits are down, and jobs are returning. Wall Street's panicking, but Buffett says keep calm. Emotional discipline wins. This isn't just trade, it's identity. Miller says we've been globalism's doormat. Tariffs flip that. America controls its fate again. It's a gamble. Trade wars could spiral, prices might spike, but Trump's betting on our grit. Outlast the pain, win the future. What do you say? Did NAFTA kill your job? Love Buffett's calm or Miller's fire? Drop your take in the comments. We read them all. Smash that like button, subscribe for weekly truth, and let's keep fighting for America. Until next time, stay free, Patriots.